All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another show of Coast to Coast Outdoors. This is, I'm Carlos, and that is Alan. I don't know what you want to be named. I just realized that. It says Hitch.
Yeah, everybody calls me Hitch. There's a long story behind it. I tend to bum rides from racers to all the races so I can enjoy what I do. And one of the racers gave me a nickname of Hitch, so that's where it's kind of stuck for the past 3 or 4 years.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, I'll let you introduce yourself. That is Hitch. He runs See You on the Trail. So I'll let him introduce it, all the social media links. All the links will be at the bottom. If you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be at the bottom on the description. If you're listening on iTunes, click on the picture. By the way, we got a new picture, so you'll have to refresh it if you still have the old one. But if you have the new picture, should say Coast to Coast Outdoors with a big circle in the middle. You'll be able to see it. Hopefully you guys like it. So, Hitch, you can introduce yourself, and then we go from there.
Well, my name is Alan O'Neill. Everybody calls me Hitch. I'm the founder and owner of See You on the Trail, which is an off-road promotions team that was developed originally basically just to make it to the races for free. And you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Alan, my personal name is on LinkedIn. You can also check out my website and find out how I got the name Hitch. That's on there. My website's seeyouonthetrail.com and .net, so you can usually find me pretty easy. Other than that, I basically promote a racer, and I'm basically the agent between a racer and a company that needs the advertising for sponsorships. I also do promotional videos to help me with that. So that's basically what I do. We enjoy doing it. I work with about 50 companies and racers together to make things happen and to keep this sport going the way it should go.
All right, cool. So that's a little bit about him. I haven't officially met him, but I've seen what has happened is I've seen him on some of the YouTube videos and things like that. I've seen most of that stuff, a lot of Dirt Riot and We Rock and some Ultra 4 stuff. So I've seen all that stuff. The most notable one that I've seen is the Levi Shirley interview. For those of you who don't know who Levi Shirley, maybe you could introduce Levi Shirley just a little bit and tell them about the interview that you did on YouTube.
Yeah, we did he was getting his car revamped and set up for the first King of the Valleys race, his first race over in Europe a couple years ago out at Sniper Fabworks. And I called him and said, hey, what are you doing this afternoon? I'm only 30 miles from you. Let me come do an interview with you. And we sat down for about 45 minutes in the shop and talked about it. It was a brand new experience for him at that time. He was still running that straight axle Sniper Fab car, the green and white one. Mm-hmm. He was still running that, and he was really excited about it. His co-driver just started doing CrossFit, but trying to get into the whole idea of European racing because it's not like the American racing out there. And if you listen to the interview, it actually he explains that. There's a lot of winching, there's mud, and it's not if you can dodge the mud, it's if you can get through it with your winch. And so that was basically how the whole interview went. And I've been following him since he was about 16 years old. And it's really neat to actually see him now where he's at. I mean, he's 23 years old now, and full sponsorship by Maxxis Tire. And in fact, right now he's over in Italy racing a race right now. And from what I've seen on his Facebook post, it seems that he's doing really well.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. So those of you who don't know, there's so many different motorsports, and I brought Alan on here because he also, he's involved in the off-road motorsports world. So I know a lot about G-Speed. I kind of had a G-Speed truck, and We Rock I don't know very much about. There's different classes, different things. And then there's Dirt Riot. I've raced in Dirt Riot. It's similar to kind of Ultra 4 style racing. And then there's Ultra 4 that I follow also. Those are the main things that I do and some desert racing stuff. But Alan has a little bit more insight on the East Coast and things, and we're hoping that he can shed some light on that stuff, because there's also like SRS and what other motorsports are out there?
Oh gosh, there's We Rock, of course, is what we call cone dodging. That's where you get a 15-minute time period to traverse yourself through gates or cones. Within 15 minutes, you get scored. Basically, the lowest score wins, kind of like golf. And then the other side of We Rock is Dirt Riot, and that's usually an average of a 6 to 7 mile course, and you go around it as many times as you can in a 2-hour period. What they call Grand Prix style racing, and that usually amounts to about a 70-75 mile race. And it's a lot of fun. It's kind of it's the gateway to Ultra 4. It starts out, you can race your stock Jeep out there as long as you've got the safety equipment to do it, like window nets and fire extinguishers and 5-point harnesses. You can take your stock Jeep out there and race the stock race. And then it also, the classes, they evolve into an Ultra 4 car, which is the 4400 class. And those guys will blast past you, and it's an amazing, fun time. The one thing I like about Dirt Ride is they have a series on the East Coast, a series on the West Coast, a Central series, then they also have a Mountain series. So anybody that really wants to race can actually get into can get into it and not have to drive 24 hours to the California desert or 48 hours to the East Coast because they're on the West Coast. They can find a race that's semi-close to them within 8 to 10 hours anywhere. And they can get into racing, enjoy what they do, and hopefully they'll evolve and start racing King of the Hammers, Ultra 4 Series, East Coast and West Coast. SRS, that is a rock bouncing, a hill killer style race. It's basically they put a point A to a point B run up a hill and say get there as fast as you can. And it's kind of a point and shoot kind of race, kind of series. They use barrel racing timers, so it's fairly accurate when you to get the accuracy in there. Then you have the once you have the accuracy, you have the really close calls, like they'll be within 100th of a second of each other. So that's kind of fun to watch. Now, ARC, which is another American rock crawling series by Mr. Ty Turner, he does a mixture of both. Sometimes it's a hill killing, point A to point B up a hill, call it good. And sometimes it's a small lap race, like maybe a quarter-mile track with a bunch of, like a BMX short course track, and they'll run 3 or 4 laps at a time. He'll do that. He's also trying to integrate a winch challenge for the spectators. And then there's also, he has a powder puff series, which is all for only women, which is, I'll tell you what, there's nothing sexier than a girl in a fire suit. It's ARC is very, very family oriented, more so than any of the other series. I mean, they all are family oriented, but ARC really caters to the kids and to the families, and to make sure it's a family event, not just a racing event. He also puts on other events too. So I just got back from Kentucky at the Off-Road Expo. Spent a lot of time with Ty, and very, very genuine, great guy, and I love going to his events. They're always fun.
All right, talking about Kentucky, we're going to put a little video on right now, and then we're going to show them your video. So we're going to link so if you're on iTunes, we're going to link the link on his video that you did for the expo, right? You did one for Louisville Expo?
Oh, yeah, I did. There's 2 or 3. I don't know which one you'll actually put up, but there's a couple of them where I was able to get my little drone that I use for some of my videos. I was able to get it up in the air inside the expo center and fly it around and show people what was actually there to offer. It was it's a very beneficial event for any racer and any company to be a part of, and definitely for anybody that wants to come spectate and look at all the new equipment, get to know everybody that's everybody that's involved in off-road racing. I go to SEMA about once every other year, and SEMA's overwhelming to me. Not to mention it's in the party town Vegas, but it's also just so many vendors and so many things to see, so many people to talk to. I honestly usually end up not getting much done there. But the expo, I made some fantastic connections and had a great time there in Louisville, and it just helped so much. It did exactly what it was designed to do. So yeah, there's a video. There's 2 or 3. There's one for racing and there's one inside. Pick which one you want to look at.
Okay, so we talked. You just saw that video. Tell us a little bit more about what See You on the Trail is.
See You on the Trail is an off-road promotions company. I do anything from announcing an event. I've done that 2 or 3 times at KOH, and then also all the way down to doing a promotional video for a racer. Like, for instance, the interview that we talked about with Levi Shirley. I sat down with him and let the public know exactly what he's all about. I get to know all the racers very, very well, but sometimes the public doesn't realize how down to earth and how good people are in this industry. And that's kind of what I strive for. We also do race videos, event videos for Dirt Right, for instance, like you said, Ultra 4. I basically try to promote the off-road industry in any positive way I can. I also do social media moderation, which basically I take care of people's Facebook. Racers they need to concentrate on their racing and their car building, and they don't have the time to actually sit down and do promotional stuff on social media. That needs to be done because that's where it is nowadays. And that's something I can help and facilitate and help them get fans, which in turn gets fans to the off-road community. But other stuff that I do a little bit of fab work, not much. Everybody laughs at me when I pick up a wrench. But I'm always willing to help in any way I can for any off-road company that's out there.
All right, yeah. I just had a question in my head that you brought up, and then it just kind of skimmed away from me, which was really bad. Most people don't know about social media, and this day and age has brought social media where I live is huge. I live like next to, not literally, well, I live a few miles away from Google and things like that. So I get caught up in a lot of social media things, and I know about a lot of the technology that comes out. But living out in Kentucky, it's different. When I was living out there, it's different how people view social media and what it's used for. So there's a big disconnection. I think having companies like you being able to help other racers understand how the social media works and how it can be worked for their advantage is awesome. Because social media can be tricky. So.
Yeah, yes, it can. Social media, it's one of the best free advertisements you can get. In fact, it is the best. It's free. Why not use it? I mean, a website can cost $20 to $25 a month. And then not to mention paying for your domain names and such. That's a big expense when you're trying to build a race car. Having social media that's free is an amazing deal. I know guys that have started from nothing, and that's what they're doing now. All they have is Facebook, and they love it. They're just able to post on there. Now you got to watch what you post, because people can take certain things the wrong way simply because it's on a keyboard. It's not in person like what we're talking right now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's a tool that needs to be used in every industry, and especially an industry such as off-road that's not in the mainstream completely yet. Just for instance, I mentioned, people ask me what I do, and I say, you ever heard of King of the Hammers? And everybody kind of cocks their head and says, what? And King of the Hammers is huge. I mean, it's as far as I'm concerned, it's as big as Daytona, but nobody knows. Not enough people know about it yet, and social media will get us there slowly but surely.
Yeah. So I think a big thing about social media is knowing how to interact with people and things like that. So I'm stepping away from organizations and things like that for the ordinary race team and things like that. They're just doing it just on the weekend, not really looking for sponsorship. For those people who are really looking into it, what tips would you give them? And then I'll tell you what I would do also.
They just want to be the weekend racer, just enjoy it as a hobby. Is that the question?
No, so the difference between a weekend racer and an actual, you want to go professional, have sponsors, things like that. So what are the things that maybe contrast each other? So a weekend racer would do this, X, Y, and Z, and maybe if you want to go have sponsors, what would you do for them? Not trying to give too much away.
No, I understand. First thing I would do, like I say, is set up a social media realm. You need Twitter, Facebook, Instagram seems to be really taking off. Learn how to use it, and then also make sure you get the emails to the people that you need to talk to at these companies that you're looking to get sponsored by, and keep a really good relationship with them. I've ran into this 100 times. I end up making a relationship with the company owner or the marketing manager or the person that actually gets the sponsorship deals out. And the next thing you know, we're all good friends and everything's going great. And then they move to a different job and you have to rekindle another relationship with the new guy replacing it. So I would say just stay on your toes with email. All it takes is a little time typing on a computer and you can actually make a lot of connections. But as a weekend racer that just wants to race for the fun of it, enjoy yourself. I mean, that's the one thing that I say. It's on my website. I say you've probably seen the little meme. It says, "Can racing off-road race cars make you a millionaire?" Well, only if you're a billionaire in the beginning. It's true. You do this for the love of it, and that would be some of the things I would suggest. I kind of bounced around on that, but social media is a big, big part of it, and it's free. Just take the time to sit down and do it.
What would you suggest for them as part of not how to get the social media started, but maybe what is a good rule of thumb, maybe just one rule of thumb saying, hey, you should probably do this if you have sponsors and things like that.
Stay in constant contact with your current sponsors. I just, for instance, I got an email right before King of the Hammers, and the guy said that he would. He said, "If you can give me $5,000, I'll run your sticker." And I'll tell you what, something like that just completely turned me off, and I didn't even want to deal with it. It's not just running a sticker, guys. It's staying in constant contact with your sponsors, giving them race recaps, whether you wrecked it or it don't matter if you wrecked it or if you won the race. Give them a recap. You got to keep them fresh keep you fresh in their mind. That would be my biggest suggestion to anybody that has current sponsors or is trying to get them. Sometimes they'll be in a company meeting or a business meeting, and they'll say, okay, we're going to give $10,000 away in sponsorship money. Who do you suggest? Puts that person on the spot. Well, if you're fresh in their mind, they're going to come up with you. But if you haven't sent them an email telling them what you've been doing, they aren't going to remember you.
Yeah. So we have our net shuffle thing that we also do. We do social media marketing, things like that. But what we do, I think, just to give a tip out, what we used to do is, like you said, do race recaps after each race, but also provide updates, to your fans and things like that. So if you're on social media, you want to try and, say something once a week or something if you got something going on, and maybe tweet a picture or Instagram a picture or something to keep your fans interacted so that they could spread the word. The more people know about you, the more popular you get, the more likelihood more companies will be able to, interact with you. It all becomes on, how popular do you get on social media? Sometimes some people need to also make the distinction of their personal page and their public page. There's what I've seen in the industry, there's people trying to make that distinction. Hey, I have a personal life and a public life. As much as people don't want it, you have to separate that. You don't want those two getting mixed up. So I'd say those are kind of the tips and things like that. So.
Yeah, most definitely. I know a lot of guys that are racers now, big time racers, and they just kept saying approve on their personal Facebook page, and it ended up that they're scared to post anything on their personal page because they have so many fans on it. So yeah. that is another rule of thumb is keep your business and your personal separate. Yeah.
So even if you don't want to do if you're doing a weekend racer, and then you become successful and you're like, well, maybe I should have done it the other way. Just tips. We're just trying to give you tips and stuff. What else we got on here? So you got a lot of videos on here. I had some notes about 8-beater. I found that video to be interesting. Not only is the name, the one that you have on your website, I think the name is interesting enough. So, tell us a little bit about them. I mean, what did you do for them and things like that?
Aaron Peters is the guy's name, and he on a popular thread called Pirate 4x4, which I'm sure some of you know about it. He made his own name as A. Peters, and as Aaron Peters, and basically everybody started calling him 8-beater. So that's where the name actually came from. He's a local friend of mine here. I live in Norman, Oklahoma City area, and he's a local guy that races a Sniper Fabworks car. And he's been racing for, I think, about 3 years now, but he's very prominent in the off-road world, and especially on Pirate. He's a moderator. In fact, that car that you see in the videos, that's actually being prepped by Summertime Race Sports down in Texas. They're getting ready to take that thing to Badlands and Attica for the Badlands race next weekend, and trying to basically push to win the East Series. But Aaron's a good friend of mine. I do a lot of little videos for him because he's one of the ones that I quote unquote hitch a ride with to a lot of the races.
Oh, okay. Have you been to Badlands before?
I have not been to Badlands before. I'm not going to make it this year either. It's just not in the cards. I do this as a love for the sport. I do a lot of it just for trade out and for rides to places. So that's one place I just haven't made it because the real job gets in the way.
Yeah. What was the other thing that we want to talk? So the other thing that I want to talk about is safety. We have as part of media, you have a different perspective as in safety on how safety gets involved and things like that. Sometimes we're at different locations where the public doesn't get to go. People are shooting pictures, videos, things like that. Why do you think safety is very important to the industry or just to the off-road?
To the off-roader, to the spectator, to the racer, and also to the media guys like us, safety is a huge part. If anything gets brought up in media, it's usually bad. So we need to keep that bad news from going onto any kind of TV show, media, any kind of media outlet that you can get to. We are basically every time we get onto the race course, we sign our life away, but we do know how to take certain safety precautions to keep us safe. I mean, in the last few months of this year, there's been a couple accidents, and they all could have been prevented if they would have followed a very simple thing. If you're a racer, and you've bought all this equipment to keep you safe, use it. I can't stress that enough. I mean, we had an accident not too long ago where somebody just wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and they weren't racing. They were just trying to get in line to be able to do the racing, and it happened. And it's a horrible, horrible accident that happened and should have never happened, but it could have been prevented by just using the equipment that you buy. I mean, you spent $80, $100, $200,000 on a car to race, and probably $5,000 to $10,000 of that is in safety equipment alone. Use it; it's worth every penny you paid for it. As a spectator, there are spectators. There's a yellow caution tape out there for a reason. They don't put it in pretty blue or pink for that very reason. I mean, stay away. Don't get onto the race course. I'll tell you what, some of the safety things that I actually use. I've been following racing since 2007. I've actually been doing the videos since 2010, and there are certain racers that I have grown accustomed to and I can trust, and I can get a little bit closer to them on the course. I know if they have control or they drive by the seat of their pants. There's some guys that do that, and those are the guys that I don't get close to the race course with, but the ones that I can trust, I do get closer to. I always walk backwards on the course. I never walk forwards on the course, so I can always see or hear somebody coming. Also, I never sit on the outside of corners. If you see a video of mine where my camera's on the outside of a corner, I'm way off somewhere else, and I'll let the camera get clobbered if that's the case. I can always replace the camera. I can't replace myself.
Yep. So those are things for media and stuff. There's a big thing that I've wanted to say is spectators. Ever since California 200 back here in California, where it happened at the rock pile and stuff. For those of you who aren't aware, there was a big tragic accident. There was before they started, BLM started enforcing rules and things like that. So I don't want to make this a downer, but there's been a big push on spectator safety. The rules are there for the spectators to ensure that nothing happens to you guys. And being on the outside of the corner, the importance of that is, somebody could get a flat on their inside or outside of the tire, and then that they're going to lose control. They're going to go straight. They lose steering. They can't turn left or they can't turn right, and the car's going to go straight. Those guys are coming in 40 or 50 miles an hour, making a hard right, hard left. And if you're on the outside of the corner, guess what? They had nowhere else to go because they had no steering. So the importance of safety is a big thing. Use common sense. Don't be on the outside. Stay on the inside of the track. And even if you're on the inside, there's 150 feet is what they've suggested. 200. That's still pretty good spectating area. You're not gonna miss much. It keeps you safe away. Always keep your kids and animals. King of the Hammers. There's always, dogs being lost and things like that, and it's a shame. Always keep your dogs and stuff like that. So,
yeah. Another suggestion I can always say is you got to think about who's on that course. A lot of companies use these racers to do R&D, research and development. They're doing testing on certain things, and they're putting them on these cars to test them in the worst possible situation to see if it'll hold up. Well, there are times that products fail. I've seen a power steering pump blow out the shaft at 60 mile an hour, and the guy had no control whatsoever, and he couldn't steer, nothing. So realize who you're watching. These guys are really racing to win, and they don't need to worry about the spectators getting in the way. Yeah. So it's a scary sport, but it's an awesome sport, and that's why people like to watch it.
Yep.
I always think of it like bull riding. Nobody wants to see anybody get hurt, but they want to see somebody almost get hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. So talking about the sport is also coming down to where I think, so the best way to say this is the sport is coming down to where it's getting away from the long races, and now we're getting into short course stuff. There's more short course races going to start happening because in order to get in front of these, have action packed, all this stuff, people want to see it and stuff. And if you have 100-mile races, like King of the Hammers or the Big Desert, Baja 1000, things like that, there's really a lot less control. I think Dave has done a really good job, but Baja is that's a whole different beast. So let's not talk about Baja. So BIT over at Parker or something, they still have crowd control, but still, when you're in a remote place, there's really no control, and if somebody can still get hurt. But the short course is beneficial because everybody gets to see all the action. So what do you think about short course racing versus the long races?
I think they both have their place. I understand the idea of going to a short course race. Similar to what they did in Reno at National Ultra Fours last year. It was amazing. The coverage was unreal. You could see almost the whole course from the grandstands. I also think, the racers are going to have to start building their cars two different ways too. It adds another facet in strategy in the race. You either got to build your car to go 215 miles at King of the Hammers, and then in 2 months you got to build a car to do 6 laps, the fastest. And like I said, I think they both have their place, and that's the cool thing about Ultra 4 is they are multi-purpose vehicles. They can go through the desert at 100 mile an hour, and then they can turn around and go through the rocks at 6 mile an hour. Like I said, I like the long desert races, but on top of that, that's not it's not as spectator friendly. Like you said, it's not it's hard to control it more. And not to mention we're losing a lot of national land, and we're not able to get that size of a course out anymore also. So I see that's one reason why we're going more short course also. But they both have their places, and I enjoy both of them. They're a blast. I love going to Pro 2 and Pro 4 guys like with Torque Series, the Level brothers I follow pretty close. And in fact, they're racing right now. And
Chicago. They're out in Chicago right now. Yeah. Yep.
So, but yeah, I watch them pretty close. I like watching the Pro 2s, the Pro 4s. And I also love King of the Hammers. I've been 4 times, and man, it's definitely a bucket list to go do. But you have to understand the way you spectate there is listen to the radios and watch them come by the start-finish line.
Yeah, there's a different.
Whereas you can't. Yeah, it's a different thing.
Yep. So, talking about Ultra 4. For those of you who don't know, Ultra 4, you can find, I'll put a link to the description on there. Ultra4racing.com, I think is the website, but you can find all the information about Ultra 4 and stuff. Racing is not cheap. I'm going to tell you that right now. Racing is not cheap, and it's very expensive. Okay. Doesn't matter what level you start off with. You could start off with the base level to the high expensive level. It'll cost you a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
But talking about racing and things, and then we'll get into racing, and we'll do a little bit of land use stuff. And then I think we'll be out of time after that. Derek West has been on a rampage trying to sweep everything. So you have a couple videos of him, and tell us a little bit about him and his dedication and things like that. So I don't know how much you know of him or what you.
Oh, actually, Derek was actually the one that really got me into the racing. Back in 2010, he let a friend of his borrow his car in Harbin, Kentucky, and to try to qualify for the King of the Hammers. And it ended up burning to the ground while pre-running. After that, I've known Derek since about 2001, 2002. And he just started he actually borrowed his girlfriend's Jeep and started racing. But his car burnt down, and he just didn't have the money to be able to rebuild it. So I actually talked to him. I said, well, what are you going to do? He goes, man, I'm going to throw in the towel. I just don't have the money to rebuild another brand new car. And he had just come off a second place win or a second place podium at King of the Hammers. And I said, well, with my real job, I'm on the computer all the time hanging out. I can start emailing people and see if we can get this thing back up and sponsored. And next thing you know, he calls me 2 weeks later and says, hey, you want to go to SEMA with me and pick up the parts that we've been able to salvage off the old car at Jimmy's, and then we'll go to SEMA, spend time in SEMA. And then I went to SEMA with him, had a great time, got to see everything at Jimmy's and got to see the old car, brought all the parts back, and the next thing I know, he calls me and says, hey, you want to go to King of the Hammers? Which those are two of my bucket list things that I've always wanted to do. So other than that, he's taken me to probably 10 or 15 races. The guy he's the nicest guy in the world, except when he puts on that helmet. That guy, as I think Dave Cole is actually quoted saying, he's a golly gee shucks guy until he puts on his helmet, and then he'll whoop your butt on the race course. The guy he doesn't make mistakes. I've ran a qualifying course with him in Altus at the Copper Mines for the Dirt Riot Series. That was one of the most amazing times I've had. Was he let me get in the passenger seat and ride with him. But the guy's on a mission. He's looking to take the East Coast Series again this year, and I hope he does it. I know he's prepping right now pretty hard. I spoke to him 2 days ago, and he's working with Wes at Show Me Speed, and they're trying to get that supercharger, that Edelbrock supercharger, tweaked in and get the right transmission tweaked in. And he's going to be hard to beat, even in a solid axle car. He's going to be hard.
All right, cool. Is he the one with the independent front? So IFS with a front engine?
No, he does not. He's running a solid axle Jimmy's Bloodline car.
Oh, okay. Who's the one with the IFS front? With the front engine?
IFS front. Now, Lauren did have one of those, I believe.
Lauren Healy, maybe. We'll have to get back to you on that.
And actually, yeah, John Cagliero bought his original car, his original IFS car built by Jimmy's.
Mm-hmm.
And he's running a front end. I believe that's a front engine IFS. And actually, basically, the cookie cutter of that car, Andrew McLaughlin out of Phoenix, Arizona, with I can't remember their name. Let's Roll Off Road.
Let's Roll Off Road.
They're running an IFS front engine too, I believe. I could be mistaken, but I believe they are. I noticed Darren Hinkie of D Squared Racing also has his IFS front engine up for sale. No, I'm sorry, that's a solid axle.
Solid axle, that's the PSC one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
No, that's now the D Squared one is a Trent Fab buggy. So that's their solid axle. He's got an IFS now, so that's what Darren's running. Darren and Darlene.
Okay. As you can tell, I'm not the guy that there's so much racing and so much things to do around that I cannot. There's no way to follow everything everywhere. There's just within our little section. There's We Rock, Dirt Riot, there's Ultra 4, there's, Torque Series, there's
NorCal. There's another one.
Yeah, NorCal Rock Racing. Then you have Lucas Oil. There's so much racing. But the other thing I want to talk about is the land use. There's a lot of coalitions out there. It's like Blue Ribbon Coalition. What else is out there?
Oh, you got Blue Ribbon Coalition. You got Del Albright that does a lot of push for it, a lot of push for land use stuff. And then you've got Save the Hammers is one that they're still pushing pretty hard, even though we came to an agreement with 29 Palms, and we do get more use. We get use out of some of the desert area in California certain times of the year, one of them being King of the Hammers. But I really push and try to keep up with the Hammers area that we're losing in national land. But it's all going to private parks, and that's basically so we can keep the land open. One of my favorite private parks in the nation right now is S'more, Southern Missouri Off-Road Ranch in Seymour. He's got 938 acres, I believe. It's some of the best amenities on the park and some of the best wheeling. And the cool thing is, you can take a stock Jeep down the main, right down the center of the park, and be able to see all the big boys wheeling. But private parks are probably where it's going to end up going, especially in the Midwest and the East Coast. Like I said, I live in Oklahoma, so everything around me is privately owned.
Is Disney private?
No, Disney's not private. That's one that is not. Disney Oklahoma there is campgrounds around that area, such as Hogan's and the Dam Rec Park, and there's a Cherokee State Park there. But once you get onto the Rock Garden area, that's where the famous Viagra is, and the Grand Staircase and Little Blue. That's actually owned by GRDA, which is the Grand River Dam Authority. They supply 72 out of 76 counties in Oklahoma with electricity, with their hydro power plants, and but the Pensacola Dam right there. But yeah, that's actually one of the only spots that's actually that's not privately owned. But the other places, there's a place in Clayton that's privately owned, but there is some property that's national land that you can get on. Yeah, so most all of it, it's getting to where everything's private, and you pay a fee to play.
Yeah.
But at least they'll keep it open,
Yeah.
and don't have to worry about the government and the politicians and everything else trying to close it on you.
Yeah. So the only reason I know about Disney, and I'll have to say this, is because I got stuck in Tulsa, Oklahoma. One of our, we were driving out to King of the Hammers with a buddy of mine. He was going to race in it, and I was basically had my truck and trailer, and he had his truck, and he carried all the race cars and pre-runners, and we were driving out there, and one of the trucks broke down, and well, that's how we got stuck. And then we're like, well, let's go wheeling at Disney. Well, we couldn't make it out there, and then we just went home. So we never made it to King of the Hammers. So we're like, oh man, that sucks. So
Disney's a cool area. I like it. The one thing that's really neat about it is it never, the rock gardens really never, or the rock formations really never change. The only thing that changes is there ends up being moss in certain places where you can't get grip with your tire. But there's places that are spray painted on the rock. If you put your left tire on that piece of spray paint and you crawl up it, it actually works, because it's that granite limestone is just like glue. You stick to it.
Yeah. Nice. All right. I think that's all the time we have. So again, we're going to have all the links and descriptions to everything. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to click at the bottom, or you actually see it at the bottom of the YouTube description. If you're watching, we might put a piece of video up that's just because we didn't have a video up this week. So on iTunes, you'll be able to click on the picture, or you're watching the video. Obviously, you click on the picture again, and you'll be able to get all the links and descriptions on how to get a hold of Alan, talk to him, or find him on social media. His website's on. And we'll post it everything.
See you on the trail.net, man. Just come see me. Check us out on Facebook. We do giveaways with some of our companies that we work with, just every so often. I'm actually in the NSR shop right now, and I'm working on a new giveaway with that. All you got to do is share something and like it and comment on it, and you might win something. So check us out over there on Facebook.
See how easy that is? You get free stuff by sharing stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what is NSR?
NSR Off-Road. That is, it's a company that does off-road fabrication stuff. We do lift kits, and we're also one of the only distributors of Red Winch out of Europe. And I mean, like these shocks right here, these are going on. We've got 2 Ultra 4 cars we're building out in the shop. They didn't have any room out in the shop for them, so they shoved them in my office. But Spencer Murphy's just a good friend of mine, and I help him do some fabrication work, and then do all his. He's one of my customers. We do all the social media for.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have to do this for another time because I think he has a lot to. We have a lot to talk about, but we're gonna have to do a part 2 or something. So again, you'll be able to find everything on click on the pictures on iTunes, or you'll be able to look at the link on the description, and I'll have all the social media links and website on there. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for coming on to Coast and listening to us and talk about everything, and we will go from there. All right, goodbye.
All right, later, Mom.